X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. Hi, Adam.
Oh man, I'm so excited. We got all these scary stories that we're going to talk about tonight. These tales of terror. Tales of Terra.
Adam. I hate to do this to you, bud, and you know I do. Anytime someone's incorrect, it physically pains me to have to let them know. But it's actually Tales of Terra, Terra, not Terror. Terror is a Marvel Comics character whose arms can fall off and he can make other body parts his arms or something. I forget. I
think I had a trading card for Terror at some point.
Is Terror a Steve Gerber creation? Because I feel like he is.
Sounds like a wacky enough thing to be a Steve Gerber thing. Yeah. So you're telling me I'm not going to be terrified?
I don't think you're going to be terrified. No, Terra is actually D.G. Chichester and Klaus Jensen creation.
Oh. All right.
I would not have gotten that.
That's okay. That character, Terror, is not in this episode at all. But we are going to be talking about the fictional sword and sorcery world of Terra that some of our ex-pals get sucked into.
Again, no. The world is called, not Terra, it's called Gashim.
Wait, that's right. Why is it called Terra then?
I don't know.
Wait a minute. Now I'm confused. You're right. The world is called Geshem, right? It's Geshem. So why is it called Terra? I'm so confused now.
Bud, I don't know. Geshem's only appeared in 2 actual comics and 3 official handbooks of the Marvel Universe.
Oh my god. Oh wow. Well, who do we have to thank for sending us to Geshem to get terrified this week?
Yeah, to thank, we have Nick Wilson, because Nick went over to patreon.com/comicsxf and said, boys, I really like the high-quality comic book content that the website ComicsXF provides, and that I get to hear weekly on the podcast Battle of the Atom. And I would like you on that podcast to talk about these stories, and in return, I will give you money. I will give you U.S. currency. We get U.S. currency. People can give it to us in any type of currency, and Patreon does the rest.
Yes. Though no crypto, I don't think. We're strictly... Is that possible?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. Ethically, I would prefer people didn't, because I have issues with the environmental impact of cryptocurrency, and as a master of business administration, I have economic issues with it, in that it's dumb and it has no end game, and it's a freaking grift that is powered only by sniffing the farts of everybody else who believes in cryptocurrency. And that's not actually that much of a joke.
So, folks, don't pay us in Terra coins or whatever.
well, honestly, again, Patreon does all that work for us. So if they did, we would never know.
That's true. Well, I guess we should get into it. You said there are 2 Terra stories, and we're going to go chronologically here. The first one is Reign of Terra, which is just a terrible pun that doesn't really make sense, because it's not the land is not called Terra.
Yeah, it's Rain in this case is Rhane or Rahne, Rain Sinclair. You know her; she's Wolfsbane. Arya Stark played her in a movie. Even though she didn't really look like a wolf very much in that movie.
No, not a good movie.
Not a good movie at all. I keep forgetting that I saw that New Mutants movie. Like, I did eventually see it.
It was only
And it
90
wasn't
minutes
good.
long, and it's not very good.
Cecilia Reyes was in that movie, allegedly.
Sure. I guess that was... There's a lot of characters that are in that movie, quote unquote.
Danny and Rain are in the movie for sure. Magic's
Okay.
in the movie, but she's racist.
That I don't like.
That no one likes. Cannonball and Sunspot are allegedly in the movie. Yeah, I don't like. I'm not saying I liked it. I'm saying they were there. As a big Samuel Zebulon Guthrie fan, I was disappointed. Anyway, a lot of those characters do show up in Wolverine Reign of Terra. It came out in August of 1991. It's got some beautiful Andy Kubert work on the covers and on the interiors, written by two-time GLAAD Award winner Peter Allen David.
And I think notably, this might be my favorite aspect of the book is the colors that are kind of a little watercolory by Sherilyn Van Valkenburg, who is a colorist I'm not familiar with. Don't know that I've seen Sherilyn's work anywhere else.
I am not familiar with her work either. This was a perfect bound, Wolverine annual, but they weren't doing annuals for Wolverine or Excalibur. They were just doing,
There's so many of these from this period. They were just like, everybody loves Wolverine. Let's make these, nice oversized books.
Oh, she colored Fawfid and the Grey Mouser. She colored Wolverine Killing, Wolverine Inner Glory, the first issue of Wolverine Havoc Meltdown. She colored a lot of stuff for a hot second. She colored an issue of Blood and Guts, the Punisher Captain America crossover.
Ooh.
The Punisher Captain America crossover that involves Terror from Terror Inc.
Hey, we're coming full circle here. This is great.
This is actually the story where Terror first appears. Again,
Nice.
Terror not in any of these.
Yeah, I really like the sort of muted earth tone colors of this. We talked about the New Mutants here. This is the Liefeld era Cable and the New Mutants. So we have Richter, Sunspot, Cannonball, Boom Boom, and Cable.
Warlock's
right.
there. He's
Sort
not dead
of.
yet.
No. Yeah, this is pre-Extinction Agenda. And
Yeah, this is-
Rain is... oh boy, Rain's not having a good day here.
Rain Sinclair's hysterical and Cable locked her in a closet.
In a straitjacket.
I love
In a
Cable
straitjacket.
so much. Again, can't emphasize enough. I love Cable. He is not the gentlest of people. He does not have the softest touch when it comes to sensitive situations. And I would say that he handled this one poorly.
I would agree 100%. I also don't know that this is really in character. At this point, we're still not quite sure who Cable is or what his whole deal is. So I guess it's kind of understandable that Peter David writes him this way, but he still seems like, I don't know. Why is he locking Rain away like this? It doesn't make any sense because all that's going on is that Rain thinks that she's another person, which she technically is.
Yeah, we find out that she got her mind swapped and body swapped, I guess, with Princess Rain from the land of Geshem.
By a mage who is like that world's Cable, who walks around with a scepter that is Warlock. So there's sort of like analogs to all of our characters in this other world.
Yeah, they all do a D&D in this one. And they're all like, hey, I'm really this person. I'm really this person. And you know what it feels like to me, Adam?
What does it feel like to you, Zach?
It feels like the Asgardian Wars, but bad.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think this felt anything like Asgardian Wars. Whereas there's a story
I did say
we'll
it
talk
was
about.
bad. Hold on. I did add that very large caveat.
Yeah, this doesn't feel Asgardian as much as it just feels kind of like you said, D&D. And, the headline character here is Wolverine. but it's a New Mutant story. So Wolverine has also, is he literally sucked into this world? Like,
Yeah, he is. It's
he
not
also
his
swapped
analog.
out?
No.
No, right?
No, he's just... I think it's Magus brings him in.
Right. So there's another... The mage is a good guy, but the Magus is the bad guy of our story. There's a prophecy.
The Magnus.
The
It's not the
Magnus.
Magus.
We'll talk about the Magus later.
Yeah, the Magus comes... This is a different thing. And it's unrelated to the Magus that's the other side of the Warlock, but not that Warlock.
Right.
We're talking about him.
Man, we're probably confusing people at this point. But Wolverine has been brought there because there is a prophecy that the princess is going to be killed by a beast. And if that happens, then I guess that everybody like gets rich and has happy life, or I don't know. Like there's people kind of rooting this on, but it's confusing.
I'll be honest. I cannot recall the plot, and I just read it a few days ago. It's a nonsense plot. That's the thing. It's trying to pack a lot into a small story, and none of it's told well or engaging. The stakes feel like nothing because besides Rahne and Wolverine, who Wolverine barely appears in this, these aren't our characters, so I don't care if fake Sunspot or fake Richter gets killed. I was like, eventually Rahne will get back because, again, they aren't going to kill off Rahne Sinclair in a Wolverine book.
You say short, but it is a 68-pager. So, well, it's, I mean, that's including like the covers and the credits, but still. it's a triple-sized book that doesn't need to be that long.
Yeah, they really should have found more story to put into those pages.
Yeah, it also kind of feels like a tryout for Andy in a lot of ways. You know, this is before he jumps into his run on Uncanny, and then later on to X-Men, and you know he's pretty good. The art here is nice. There are some spots where you're like, okay, he's not quite to where he will be. You know, when he reaches full Andy Kubert style. And one of the things he does very well is draw Wolverine sort of snarling, growling, slashing. And like you said, when Wolverine appears, that's pretty much all he's doing because he's been possessed by this Magneto analog Magnus.
Well, you say Trout. The same month that it was published, he also did work on Uncanny X-Men 279, which, to be fair, was the issue that Chris Claremont walked out on halfway through. So,
yeah, I'd be really interested to know when this was drawn. It still feels
had to be way before, like when he was doing Semper Fi or Savage Sword of Conan. He started with just a bunch of Conan stuff. Good for him.
And the art pairing there makes a lot of sense because this you know, this is kind of sword and sorcery stuff, castles. The conclusion of this ends with Wolverine jumping into the Magnus's ear. The Magnus has now grown to like giant size, and Wolverine basically just like jumps into his ear and cuts off his brain, I guess. Then comes out the other ear.
Hey, has Andy done anything for Marvel since 2005?
I have no idea.
The
I mean,
last thing
Adam certainly has.
Adam's currently drawing Wolverine, so
right. Yeah,
he's set. Andy, the last thing that I'm seeing is Ultimate Iron Man in 2005, written by Orson Scott Card.
Not a great thing to wrap up on.
I mean, maybe that's why he wanted to go to the DC, or he may. I don't know. Is he teaching at Kubert School?
He might be. The fate of that Kubert is unknown to me.
I feel like Andy Kubert is doing fine for himself. He just did a Batman story last year. He's doing pretty okay.
I can't imagine he's not. So eventually our Reigns get swapped. I guess they let Rahne out of her straitjacket. Everybody has a nice hug. And Wolverine shows up just to prove that it's not a dream by dropping off this little medallion of a wolf head. It's a nothing story. Like you said, the stakes are very low. I don't really care. You know that Rahne is going to make it back. You don't necessarily care about the analogs because they're not our characters. And, aside from some clever stuff, I do like the Cable analog carrying around Warlock as his like wizard staff. That's kind of fun. There's not a lot to enjoy here. It definitely doesn't live up to the other Wolverine standalone books of the time.
Yeah, Gesham's not an exciting locale, and I think it's weird that there was ever a sequel to this.
It is absolutely bizarre that this A exists and that B, that the story needed to continue in any way, shape, or form, because there's not a lot happening here. You know what I mean?
I understand why it exists. Mm-hmm. I can see how the pitch meeting went and how they decided, okay, Peter, you want to do a Wolverine story that's like Swords and Sorcery? Whatever, that's fine. You do that, Peter, Alan David. But I don't know why they kept going with it. No,
I can't fathom. So we should probably rank this one so that we can move on to part 2.
Yeah, spoiler alert, we're also going to do the other Reign of Terra story. Yes. But you mentioned ranking, and we rank things on our ever-expanding, ever-growing, incredibly long list of every story that the X-Men have appeared in or adjacent to, or whatever we felt like the criteria was for this list. Honestly, some of this we just shoot from the hip. We're renegades. Podcast police can't get us. We're incredibly good. We don't follow any laws. We're the bad boys of comics podcasting right here. It's Adam and Zach in the morning. We've ranked 507 stories. We've ranked 507 stories on this list, with the best story currently being The House of X and Powers of 10. The 100th best story being Excalibur Mojo Mayhem, another perfect bound book from this era, one that's better.
Way better.
Wolverine and the X-Men, the Hellfire Saga is at 200. At 300 on our list is Uncanny X-Men Quarantine. At number 400 on our list is X-Force Volume 2, 1-6, Let It Bleed. Number 500 on our list is New Mutants Forever. And then the Draco's at the bottom.
Okay, I would say this is better than New Mutants Forever.
It is better than New Mutants Forever. I wanted to say this is better than Uncanny X-Force Volume 2, but I actually don't think it is.
No.
Because, Generation M is 8 spots above that at 392, and Generation M was a better story than this.
Yeah, I do think we're probably on par with something like the 8th Uncanny X-Men annual, which is at 395. So we're in the right realm here. You know, it's not terrible to look at. There's just not a lot of story, you know?
I got a weirdly comparable one.
Okay.
Uncanny X-Men 1/2, Thrall. It's like story, but the short version.
That's true. I think this is probably better looking than that, but by far. No insult to Ringo's artwork.
Yeah, hold on, wait. That was Mike Ringo. It's not his best work.
Well, listen, Ringo's doing a nice, cartoony thing for a Wizard promotion comic. Like, it's not as... This is definitely designed to be a showcase for Kubert.
Right.
So I think this is better than that. I don't think, though, it's better than 416 Days of Future Present, which has that Art Adams issue.
Okay, but what else does it have?
It doesn't really have much. It does have Rachel eating a cheeseburger and a sombrero. So
it's a very good hat. I love Rachel's hat there. Yeah, that's probably right. Because, as much as I have my qualms with it, An Age Undreamed Of from Uncanny at 413 is better than this. So I'm fine putting this above Cyberforce X-Men and below Days of Future Present as our new number 417.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is one of those curiosities from the time period, but I don't think you necessarily need to track it down.
It's not even that much of a curiosity. It exists, but you don't need to. Like, you're not missing anything.
Unless you're one of the people like myself who's like a 90s Wolverine, like perfect bound completist who just wants all these things for no reason.
Don't be that guy. Be the guy who wants to read all of the Larry Hama Wolverine. That's what you gotta do.
No, that's true.
That's the better way to experience Wolverine in the 90s is the unbridled energy of Larry Hama.
I did recently buy the Hemingway arc. Hemingway Deathstrike arc.
It's good.
In floppy.
It's on this list really high. People would. I wonder if there's people who think, oh my gosh, these guys. That's at number 63 on this list. There's people who think we are idiots.
No, that's a really fun story.
It's a great story. No one can debate us on this. No one can judge us here.
People will also agree that our next story is not so great. Not involving Larry Hama. Unfortunately, this required not only a plotter, but also a scripter, Ian Edgington and John Ostrander. And then we do not have Andy Kubert returning to Wolverine Knight of Terra. This is Jan Duursema and Rick
Jan Duursema.
Magyar. Yeah, Duursema, sorry.
I like Duursema's art. I don't think it's my favorite here, but I do like Duursema as an artist.
What's interesting is the story in Wolverine Knight of Terra is more complex, and I think probably a little more interesting than Reign of Terra, but it doesn't look nearly as nice, like it for what Kubert was bringing in the first book. This is not up to that standard.
Yeah, so the thing that happens is that Wolverine gets sucked back into Geshem by the shaman, who's different than all of the other wizards. It's Professor X.
Not Cable. And we don't. Does this person have an analog in the Marvel U?
It's Professor X.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's beefy, man. He's a big guy. He doesn't look like
this was 1995. This is Professor X can freaking rip a phone booth. Probably a phone booth too. Have you seen those pecs?
Oh my god. He also kind of has a pet Nightcrawler beast creature that hangs out with him.
It's weird that threw me off because he has a beast.
Right.
But this is a story about the Beast.
Right.
Who is not the Beast analog because, Grant Morrison didn't write this. But is instead Sabretooth.
Okay. Hold on, though. Because you're referring back to the prophecy, right? That Rahne, the princess, is going to be eaten or destroyed or killed or something by the Beast.
Okay, yes, I might be, but you're, again, expecting me, Adam, to make heads or tails of these nonsense stories.
Well, but this is where things get, I think, more interesting, but also kind of more stupid. Because the prophecy says that the Beast is going to take her. Now, what it turns out is that it's really just this Geshem's reign. Did we mention that Geshem's reign is just spelled R-A-I-N? I don't think we mentioned that.
We don't have to, though. It's fine.
Is that Rahne is going to also mutate into a wolf. And that is the Beast. She needs to accept the Beast. But because she's not accepting the Beast, there's an actual physical manifestation of the magic of the land, which just happens to look like Jim Lee's Sabretooth. And Wolverine has to stop it? That sound right?
That's that's right, but I don't like it.
Oh, no. No, I also don't like that Bishop walks in on a naked Rahne who attacks him when switched with the other Rahne. That's no good.
Mean, it's not good. This is a 1995 comic, so parts of my brain know to expect just horrible stuff like that and just like shut up like, ugh, we're really doing this? Okay, whatever.
And we also get to see Geshem's... We don't get to see Geshem's New Mutants again, except for Doug, but we do get to see Geshem's X-Men, which look a lot more like X-Men than Geshem's New Mutants.
Cyclops looks like a Cyclops.
Yep, Storm
Not
looks
like
like Storm.
not like a one-eyed man. He looks like Scott Summers.
Yeah, he's got kind of like a Thor kind of thing going on with his helmet. He kind of looks like Batman from time to time too. It's weird.
It's I don't even know what to say. The designs aren't good. They're the X-Men doing a friggin' LARP. That's all it is.
Yeah. Wolverine runs into Ileana, who's not Ileana, and that's not interesting. It should be, but it's not.
It's just like, oh, you're there too? I guess we had 60 whatever pages to fill.
Yeah, this one is just as long as the other one. And, with subpart art and Sabretooth running around with, like extra long fangs. It's just, this one's, I think, dealing with a more interesting play on the concept, but ultimately it is just dumber.
The problem is it's a bad concept. There's not a lot to be gained from this, so I'm just confused at why it exists.
Yeah, I have a feeling that somebody was sitting around having read Reign of Terra and was like, oh, what if the Beast was Reign? This'll be cool. But there's not a lot beyond that. Once you get to that part of the story where Professor X kind of convinces the other world's Reign to accept her wolf part, and then she comes back and kicks the crap out of Sabretooth with Wolverine. I mean, that is the most interesting thing that's happening here. And everything else around it, pretty silly.
I've got nothing for Night of Terra. I've read this before. I didn't remember anything. I don't remember anything after reading it this time. That's not... I wish stories were better is all. This one's not. And I wish they would have done a good one here. Because, like, John Ostrander's not exactly a spring chicken at this point. This is post-Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
He's done stuff. I don't know why this one's bad.
You're being dealt a bad hand when you're doing this kind of a story. So, I have a feeling he was brought in to, script over the idea and
Ian Edgington was
right.
Ian Edgington was late, wasn't he? He was late, and then they were like, "Listen, John,
Gotta
buddy,
help us out here,
John, please." This is not deep into Ian Edgington's career at Marvel. He had been doing some work on Blade, and that's about in a few annuals, and also Codename Firearm, a story I've never heard. Oh, it's Malibu. That doesn't count.
The Malibu Ultraverse.
Oh yeah, it's from the Malibu Ultraverse.
Phoenix Resurrection.
No, it's not connected to Phoenix Resurrection. It's just because Marvel bought Malibu for reasons that have never really been clear. It's because in the early 90s, Marvel bought everything, and that is why they ran into bankruptcy problems. Not, thank you very much, because they didn't have the rights to X-Men or whatever the heck people say.
No,
I forget.
no.
And also, that's not how they got out of bankruptcy either. But that's fine.
People have ideas, they're not right.
People don't know stuff. Sometimes people are just dumb. We should rank this one because we have lost the plot so hard, folks. I promise you, if you listen to the other 198 episodes, we mostly stay on topic.
This isn't a bad episode. We are critically analyzing these not great comics.
No, we're not. We're saying these are bad, but we've got an hour to fill. and you and I's internal clock know that if we just say, oh, it's bad, and then we skip it, we're like, oh, crap. Now we got to riff a lot at the end. So instead, we just fill out the middle.
Oh my god. All right, this is not as good as Reign of Terra, and that's already at 417. Is this as bad as 429, the New Mutants Nova Roma story?
It's worse because that New Mutants story has like a good issue in it.
It does. It has that great that beach issue at the end.
Number 12 is actually good on that one.
Okay. Working my way down. Quest Probe, Marvel Fanfare 33 at 439.
My Quest Probe's better. I don't know if Quest Probe's better. I'm fascinated by Quest Probe in a way that I'm not fascinated by the sequel to Reign of Terra.
Yeah, I'm very glad that no one has revisited Terra.
If
somebody has a great idea,
No, if someone has a great idea, they can make their own D&D world. We don't have to use Geshem. Here's what I'd say. At number 442, we have X-Men Noir, and I think this is better than X-Men Noir. I don't think this is better than X-Men 67 through 70, the Infinitives of Evil, where we find out that the Madeline Pryor that Nate Gray sucked back into reality was replaced with a different evil Jean Grey.
Oh my god.
From a different reality who was murdering all these people. And anyway,
I will never understand that. Never.
I will understand that Nate got a magical tattoo transfer in that story, and that's what's really important.
All right, so
I will.
Night of Terra, Wolverine Night of Terra, 442.
Yeah, that's at 442. It's not a good one, y'all.
No.
We got better. We have something better, but equally weird. And I want to tell y'all about the notes that I left for this, and that I left months ago, that we only deciphered in the last week before we recorded. I wrote, okay, I got Reign of Terror. That's the first story on the list. Well, let's see. Well, Night of Terror. That goes with it. What else can we put with it? What are we saying? No one's giving us good suggestions, like from our Patreon, if you're on a $5 and up level, where you can give suggestions to fill out the rest of the episode. No one gave us good ones for that. So I was thinking, I was like, wait, what about that one story where Rain Sinclair meets that one Scottish king? Send tweet. Done. No idea what that meant afterwards.
Right.
And we did have to figure out when and where that was, and if we had already ranked it.
And we hadn't.
No, we haven't.
So this is a 4-issue arc, New Mutants, Volume 1, 47 to 50. Chris Claremont, Jackson Geiss mostly doing the pencils, but we get a nice Brett Blevins appearance, which I want to talk about. Kyle Baker on inks, and Glynis Oliver doing colors. This is the battle against the Magus. This is the final battle, Warlock versus the Magus.
Well, you say final like it doesn't come up a lot.
I know, but it's, in the course of Volume 1, this is the head-to-head.
Yes, this goes up to New Mutants 50. It's the big climax of that whole era. Like, even after this, Claremont kind of just fizzles off of the book.
Oh, yeah.
He's still on it for another like 6 to 10 issues or something. But he's kind of done.
Yeah.
He's checked out at that point. And it's interesting. It's coming right out of the Mutant Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you remember, right, when we did our Mutant Massacre episode all the way back in the before times, New Mutants 46 has the New Mutants getting real frustrated about not being able to do anything about the Mutant Massacre. And Karma's like, oh, dang, my kid, I say kids, my brother and sister, I have to go find them. And it explodes, and also the Magus shows up. The Magus is Warlock's evil dad, who Warlock has to defeat in ritual combat.
Right.
Or the Magus has to murder him.
Right. You get two options if you're part of the Technarchy.
Like
right?
all fathers and sons, you have to murder your dad or your dad's going to murder you. Which is a lesson I'm instilling in my young boy, and when he is old enough to grab the blade, he shall face me in combat, and if I have raised him well, my blood will be on his hands.
Jesus Christ. So...
That's a good bit. I'm keeping it. I'm not editing these right now, so I don't get to choose. Adam, if you want to have the story of my
you
child.
can tell me if
murder.
you want me to cut that out or not.
Oh no.
I think it should stay.
Let's keep my son stabbing me with a knife. Just like Warlock should do with his dad, but doesn't.
No, in fact, they go on the run. So the story begins in Limbo. And, you mentioned Asgardian Wars earlier, and I feel like Claremont is pulling the same stunt again here, because not only do they go on the run into the past at first, you mentioned their Reigns interactions with Scottish leader Robert the Bruce, and but then they get split up and go on a future, multiple
Two
dystopian
different
future
alternate
adventures.
futures.
Yes.
Which I'm going to say that's an interesting choice. To give two kind of similar futures, one of which is definitely just the Days of Future Past future.
Pretty much, yep.
And one of which is the New Mutants Mutant Supremacy future, where what's his name?
Roberto
is the evil dictator of this new world. Also, incredibly funny, the Marvel Wikia lists Magneto's name as a supporting character on this as Michael Xavier. Remember when Magneto pretended to be Charles Xavier's cousin?
He's his cousin.
Yeah.
He's his cousin. There are these like beautiful vignettes in this thing where Magneto is like cleaning up after the New Mutants and is like, "How do they eat this stuff?" And he's looking through the fridge, or like, "Why is your room so messy?" And it's like, it's so bonkers. But it all hinges on the mutant war, which I feel like Claremont is kind of hinting at here that we never got, because they sort of claim in here that if Magneto joins the Hellfire Club, that it's going to cause some sort of like enormous rift, and that fight does come later in this arc, and not in this arc, but in this series.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. More interesting in the fact that Claremont was definitely playing with a lot of ideas over a long period of time, and it's the one story he never really got to do.
Yeah.
Which I think is, to me, is fascinating. It does mean that Claremont didn't get to do a Shadow King story, which I think we should all be happier for.
I would still have liked to, just in an alternate universe, just to take a little peek at whatever that would have looked like back in the 90s. But
can I tell you what you lose, though? Do you know what you lose if he does that?
Everything, right? I mean,
well, I was just going to say Brood Trouble and the Big Easy, and also that Omega Red story.
Well, it probably would have happened before that.
You miss that part where Wolverine and Gambit play basketball.
That's true. You can't deny the beauty of that. So what do you think of Jackson Geiss's artwork here? Because we've seen Geiss work before. I don't think we're like seeing peak Jackson Geiss here.
Geiss is fine here. He's not my favorite. He's wildly overshadowed by the Brett Blevins issue.
I was gonna say that, and the highlight for me is, I think it's issue 49.
It is
when we get Brett Blevins, and it starts with Doug riding Warlock as a skateboard through this future. It is just such a nice flex for Blevins to show off like what he can do with Warlock turning into a pterodactyl, turning into cartoon characters, and it just feels alive in like a really fun way.
That part rules.
The rest of the arc, I almost feel, and I don't know if you agree with this, I feel like Geiss is almost trying to channel Sienkiewicz a little bit.
Oh, he is. Areas. He absolutely is. I think, like, especially the first issue with Kyle Baker on inks. Mm-hmm. Kyle Baker has that same messy style that Sienkiewicz does when he inks. So I think there's definitely some of that being pulled there, whether it was Kyle Baker trying to mimic the previous inker on the book, or editorial saying, well, let's get this guy that also inks like Bill on this. I don't want to say one way or another. I don't think anyone needs to defend Kyle Baker. He's got a pretty well-established career of being good at his job.
Yeah. And I don't think the art is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just it's kind of flat, especially with the colors. God bless Glynis here. It's just not. There's not a lot to visually look at. I think the best thing that happens is in issue 50. You really get to see him stretch out when the Magus battle happens, because you get like these 2-page spreads of the Magus, and that part. It's cool. Like I think you can see the Sienkiewicz influence there a lot more.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about how issue 50 is also a Starjammer story.
Right. Yeah. They catch up with Xavier and Corsair, and
it's so weird that Professor Xavier was hanging out in space with Carol Danvers, the movie star, for a very long time.
Binary. Yep.
Yet, you think that ever comes up? Like, do you think Carol Danvers is sitting there being the head of the Avengers and be like, man, I don't want to do anything to help out mutants, but I do remember when I hung out on a spaceship with Charles Xavier for like 3 years. Right. Cyclops' dad was there. It was wild.
Yeah, she was a Starjammer. Yeah, there's a lot of like fun little stuff that happens in here. Like Robert the Bruce exchanges a necklace to Rahne for an X-Men belt that he wears with his kilt, which is kind of fun.
If Robert the Bruce wants to show up in like 10 of Swords 2, 11 of Swords, I am all for it. Let's get all the X-Men from all time, from all generations. Have Robert the Bruce stand next to, like, I don't know, Skullfire from X-Men 2099. Just get wild with it.
We also get the Sentinel that killed Captain America in Days of Future Past Future that is cosplaying as Captain America, which is kind of funny.
It is kind of funny, except for the Captain America. I don't know if he likes Sentinels, but he's not doing a lot to stop them.
No.
That's all I'm saying. Captain America may have a blind spot for mutants. I love Captain America in every book that doesn't have the X-Men in it. Every one of them, he's great, except for the ones with the X-Men in them.
That's usually how it works. We also get a cameo in 49 of it's Julie Power, right? Who is now...
it's Katie.
It is Katie.
It's Katie. She got all of the powers of all of her family as they died in this
you
dystopian
assume
future.
that the power pack, the rest of the power pack is dead. Sad.
Yeah, because it's Julie, who is Julie's powers that get shown. It's the rainbow, but it's really Katie, little baby Katie. Except for little baby Katie's like 80. Katie's 80.
You know what I really appreciate about that is that like she's just a little old lady, and like they just
she's super cool too.
Yeah, she's like just this super cool like octogenarian. It's like great.
She's doing her best. No, I like it. It's good in comparison to the stuff we were doing this week. As a New Mutant story,
it's just okay.
It's fine.
It's just okay.
It seeds some Inferno stuff. There's some stuff with Ileana that, like, she's kind of the crux of the story is her having to like deal with limbo stuff so that she can rescue her friends.
Right.
And I mean, Claremont writes a good Ileana. We all know that. Even if he thinks she's pure evil, he writes a good Ileana.
Yeah, Warlock accepts Xavier as his true father, which is weird, but I like it.
That is weird that he's like, you're my dad now, Charles. And he's like, I barely know you, alien boy.
I've been hanging out in space. So I think there's a lot of fun storytelling here. I think artistically it's harder to recommend outside of issue 49. That's probably the best of the batch for me, but there's still some really delightful stuff happening in this arc.
There absolutely is. So we should probably rank it then?
Absolutely. And definitely higher than 417 with Reign of Terra.
It's not better than that Uncanny X-Men Quarantine, which has bad art.
All right,
but Quarantine. It also has Wolverine, instead of using his claws, just using regular knives.
That is a fun issue, and that is at 300. So I agree. I think we're in the 200s here.
I like Death of X better.
All right, that is at
342.
Well, did you say? Wait.
No, I like Quarantine better.
All right, so this is going to be a 300 story. So
in my reckoning, it's a 300 story, and I think you'll agree when I say, is this better than New Mutants Summer Special?
No.
There we go.
And what's that at?
354.
You know what? Hold on. I want to. Given where, let me put it this way. You know that I think that Summer Special is placed incorrectly on this list. So I'm looking at what's around this. I do think that if we look up the list, there are some stories here that this is better than. I think this is better than Deadly Genesis. I think this is better than Extreme Expo and Expose.
This is probably better than X-Core.
Yeah, X-Core is at 344. How do you feel about it compared to Divided We Stand at 343?
I feel exactly the same way about both of these stories. We found the spot. I would give the edge to this New Mutant story, but I would not put it above 342, which is Death of X.
I would agree. So this is going to make it our new 343. I think that's a perfect place. Definitely, if you're doing a New Mutants run, you're going to want to, read this as part of it.
Oh yeah, if you're reading New Mutants all the way through, yeah, you'll be fine. This is just like we were talking off air. It's just a cross-time caper, and I'm not convinced there's ever really been a good one.
Has there been a good cross-time caper? We don't know.
I think there's been good parts of cross-time capers. I don't know if there's been a start-to-finish good cross-time caper. But that's just my judgment as a professional podcast boy whose opinions cannot be argued with because I'm correct and Adam is correct and the list is correct. And no one can argue about that.
No one would ever try to litigate such a silly thing.
No, it's not a crime to be wrong, but we're not wrong. We're
That's
right.
true.
So we've done no crime.
No, and it's clear that we're good at our jobs.
We are absolutely great at it. And do you know who else is great, Adam?
Nick, I think it was.
Yeah, it's Patreon supporting Nick Wilson's great.
Thank you, Nick.
I have the Patreon list. Adam doesn't know anything about it. Don't blame him.
I was like, I think that was the name.
But we, we want to thank Nick for going on over to Patreon and supporting the show, supporting the website. There's some incredible stuff going on over there at Comics XF. There's a piece that went up this week by Ritesh Babu, who's one of my favorite critics, period, and a great guy. And the piece is incredibly powerful about representation in comics, specifically in how well-meaning white liberal writers will tend to be like, look at the diversity I'm adding to all of these books, and then actually not do a good job at it at all, to the detriment of the people that you're trying to represent. It's a great piece. You should check it out if you haven't already. There's a bunch of good stuff. Our friends over at Chris's on Infinite Earths just covered Necrotia, which is fun. Our buddies over at WMQ&A just did an interview with the writer of the latest Rogue novel that's out there. So maybe go check out what they've got cooking. And all that money just goes right into the site. So, help us out if you can. Join the Discord if you want. You get special benefits from the Patreon, and we do fun things there. It's a good website, and it's a good Twitter account at ComicsXF. Adam, what's up?
Guys, you can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy and Instagram adam.rec. If you go to my Twitter account, we are doing a fundraiser for my brother and his wife. I won't get into specifics here. You can check it out there, but if you can chip in, I would greatly appreciate it, and I will draw something for you. So
don't even worry about going to the Twitter account. Just scroll right down. There'll be a link in the show notes for this episode, and if you can help out, that would be really appreciated, because Their family's going through a lot right now, and we want to support Adam and the whole Wreck family.
Thank you. The future of the show, I mean, who could say really what...
Well, we are on the road to 200, and we're almost through it.
Yeah, so I maybe we should hold off and just like it should be a surprise, and we could just have a party next week, and that'd be cool, right?
I mean, you know what? We'll just see what the road to 200 brings. But until then, Adam, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!